Where's the notice? Dum. Morning all. It is New Year's Eve. Quite early in the morning. I don't know. Can't really see the time. Don't matter anyway. I apologise in advance in case this does ramble on too long. But what I wanted to talk about, something that's been coming on 10 years or possibly 20 years in some cases. It concerns, oh, here you go, me relaxing. When I was at work, I suppose, especially like even 30 years ago, bringing up a son and my first wife, you're sort of uptight, you've got to get to work, you know, and hate bosses, hate governors, hated travelling to and fro of London. So I worked in the city of London and all the rest of it, just being one rat race. But since I retired, roughly 20 years ago, because medically, although I'm only 68, medically I retired around about, when I was about 50, I suppose. No, 50s when I had my first amputation. When I was a couple of years later. It's 2001 anyway, just as that 9/11 thing started in America, and I turned it on in the middle of it, and I rang my boy up. I said, "Is this real? Was it a movie?" He said, "No," he said, "it is real." We found out we're not so sure if it's real or not now, but still. Anyway, I suppose things started changing around about 20 years ago. Now, I was an avid reader, listener and watcher of news, and I suddenly just realised I didn't want to read newspapers anymore. I wasn't sure why, I just didn't. I used to read the Times, as I said once before, not because I liked it or papers, because if I was on a night security before you had what's called your own site, it passed the time, especially if you didn't have to do patrols. I mean, they just wanted a body there, as they used to charmingly put it, for insurance purposes, you know. And that I just suddenly stopped, because I used to love to go to a pub, have a couple of pints while reading the newspaper. I said, coughing again. About 10 years ago, now, I was an avid boxing fan, loved it, even did a bit myself. All of a sudden, I didn't like boxing anymore. I just thought, this is ridiculous. I think it's to do with all the violence in the world even then. And I thought, you get really physically fit. I mean, I'm talking about professional boxers now, really in good nick, just to bash the daylights out of the bloke in front of you. All right, it's for money. There's a talk about art in it. I was big up. Right a minute. I was a big Muhammad Ali fan. All them I used to be able to quote from 1760, the first recognised Queensberry rules. He was called, I think it's called James Figgs. He was the first boxing champion. I don't know if it was heavyweight or what. And I used to be able to go from that and quote all the heavyweight champions in order, right the way up to Muhammad Ali. I just thought, it's a stupid sport, and I don't like sports anyway. The only other sports I liked was snooker, but you've got to sit down in front of your telly and, you know, you can't really move. You know, if you miss a shot and you come back, I mean, they do so many replays now, what's that? And I used to watch that even when it's black and white telly, because to me, you know, I'm colourblind anyway, but it was even worse in black and white. It's called pot black, I think it was called. Anyway, little things like that started. By then, of course, I'm like with the other half that I'm with now, moved from here. I mean, like, moving from London to Kent is different. Makes me laugh here when I hear them say, "Oh, there's a traffic jam. Oh, it's fast there." I thought, you want to go to London? You know, they're like bullets going past you, people. You know, it's so much easier. This part of Kent, anyway. I mean, parts of Kent. I mean, Kent's a big place. Parts of it are worse than London. You've got your, you don't see much. You've got your drugs, you've got your crimes, the same as everybody else. The same as everybody else. Anyway, what I'm saying is, I stopped reading newspapers. Then 10 years ago, the boxing thing. It is quite strange. I really feel really relaxed in the last couple of months. It's sort of snowballed. Now, a lot of this to Bri, Janet and Lucky. I mean, Bri, as I said before, he's sort of... I've sort of known all these things, but he taught me without realising it. Well, he should realise it now, and he's helped a lot of people. He's helped me focus it all, and I've never felt so relaxed. I don't think, even before I started work, I was always called fatty at school, and that made me turn sort of violent. I'm not a violent person in that sense. If someone goes to hit me, not now, someone goes to me, I'll belt them first, sort of thing. But now I don't. You know, with age comes maturity and a different way of thinking. I'd ride away on my scooter now. Unless anyone personally attacked me or my wife, then you do whatever you got to do, don't you? I wouldn't like it anymore. These glasses are irritating me and all. Anyway, hope you realise I'm still looking at the camera. So, last 5 or 6 Mondays, I've been going to the Eleanor with my wife because she has counselling, and I've met her counsellor now and again because I have a laugh and joke with them. There's cancer patients, there's all sort of disabilities. You know, I've even gotten to the voluntary staff that sell coffee, tea, and sandwiches and that, and I've met a counsellor now and again because invariably we get there a bit late. It's either traffic or something for my wife's hour appointment. And I've met the woman now and again, only briefly. So she must be quite good at her job, because I said to the wife, over the last month or so, I feel a lot better myself. Anyway, I happened to say, I think it was yesterday, to my wife, I'll be relaxing in a minute when this flipping cough goes. And I was saying, like, well, that's what I said now. I said, I'm feeling really relaxed now, and not watching the news for a couple of months has really done it as well. I just like to know what's going on in my immediate circle. I think I've said before, and Swanley where I live. I just can't do all that anymore. It's pointless. Things happen whether you know about them or not. I can't do nothing about them anyway. So you have to be a bit selfish, as Bri said. Anyway, my wife said, that's strange. That's funny you should say that. I said, well, why is that? She said, because the counsellor said that you're not relaxed. I said, I'm not relaxed. She said, yeah. I said, I thought the counsellor was for you. She said, she said, but she also said that I'm not relaxed. I suppose, I mean, when I'm out, I'm laughing and joking all the time. Sometimes it's an act, you're masking something else. And for a long time it became part of me, because it starts like when you're a kid, somebody calls you fatty, you try and get in first, make a joke of it, and with me, comedy started taking it over. Not that I'm a flipping professional comic, but you get the first one. I was never the class comedian. I was a quite timid kid, as I said before. Excuse me, before I started hitting back physically, like. So this woman counsellor, she must be pretty good, because she's only met me briefly. While my wife's, we got a cup of coffee when we got there, and my wife goes straight in with the coffee. That's all that she took, sort of summed me up in a word. So I said to my wife, I said, well, yeah, I said, I feel much more relaxed. I said, because, it's the money, worry about money, paying bills. Now my attitude is, well, if you ain't got the money, sod it. So what? What are you going to do? Throw me out? Me and my wife and my daughter were disabled. What are you going to do? No, I don't care. I literally do not care about money anymore. You work. I mean, it turns out I only worked 38 years instead of 50 years because of the medical thing. I've got to do a bra here and have a copy. One of the great inventions. Yeah, so I feel really, really relaxed. It is weird. I think the state of the world, and people say, the state of the world now, it's always been like it. There's no difference. I mean, when I still follow politics and that, like every couple of years, all you ever hear is times have never been this bad, so and so and so. And I thought before, every government has said this. God, 100 years before I was born even, it's always a bad year. We've always got to cut back. We're always short of money. The health services in codes. The health service is going down a pan, if you like, to put it earthly and basically. But you just have to turn off. I mean, Brian's learned this a lot earlier than me, being only a kid, I suppose. But you know, it's took me ages. But it's gone and snowballed the last few months. I don't know why that is. I feel better in myself. I haven't put no weight on. My wife said my shoulders are too thin now, but I can't help it. Better than being fat like I was once when I was around 23 stone. I mean, that's ridiculous. Now I look down on people that are fat like that. I shouldn't do. And I call them blobs and everything else, like, you know. I mean, they're much worse than I ever was. And there's no need for it now. Because when I was a kid, 50 odd years ago now, I suppose I was 23 stone. They didn't really say it, you know. I said before you go to the doctor, they said, oh, he looks all right. I mean, come on, 23 stone. But now, of course, there's all so many health warnings, and there's some programs on the telly. There's no need to overlook it, you know. Same with smoking. I mean, I stopped that 22 years ago. I think my wife, the present other half, I think it was 23 years ago. Yeah, about a year before me. And even my ex, funny enough. But I don't know. It's weird. The only time I felt like this, and it didn't last long, unfortunately, it's when I just got a new site on a security firm, and it was the most I'd ever earned, or ever earned any job really. Never mind, because each site is like put out to tender, and they pay you, you know, an agreed thing like a tender, like. But say like they pay them a tenner, because it's not much more than that. You don't get anywhere near that. You might be lucky to get £4 of that, say, an hour. And they keep the other half. They've got to run this and run that. The firm you're working for, private security. So, I've lost my track now. Bloody time do I do this? Why was I talking about that? This is how I go. Apparently it's age and nothing to do with dementia or anything. But anyway, I really, for the first time in my life, I would say, when I have a backtrack there, talk about reverse engineering. Stop laughing and all. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And I've heard of it before, when you have an operation, and that's why I was talking about security. I thought, oh, I cracked it here. Good it was, and I've said before, anyway, I woke up and the foot was all gangrene, or the toe and that. So off that came, and for about, I was in hospital, I suppose, about 5 weeks, something like that, 3 weeks. And I had this sort of really tranquil thing. It was like everything was petty. I think you could have come up and called me the biggest arsehole in the world, and I would just laugh at you. Nothing seemed worth getting worked up about. Unfortunately, it only lasted a couple of months. A year later, I was having more off the footage and do it then. Apparently, this is happening. Well, I've done that now. It's the same sort of feeling. You know, I mean, I'm relaxed, but it's not like everything's petty like it was. This is a genuine thing at the moment. It's been a few months like this. You know, you can't take on the world, but you know, I think that's what Bri and Janet and Lucky say. Like, you know, you got to do your own thing, as we used to say, and you have got to be a bit selfish. I mean, the only people I worry about, and I mean worry, is immediate family, especially my wife, daughter, and my son, and his family. You know, you can't. I mean, it annoys me. I don't shout at her. I try not to, But something annoys me on the telly, like, I mean, I can't stand sarcasm or anything like that, or they come out with something so stupid. I'm going, oh, for God's sake, you bloody idiot, what's the matter with you? I want to shake them, like, you know, some sense. Apparently one of the blokes goes down the gym, Peter, and his wife, she was saying the other day, she said, oh, here we go. She said, he shouts at the telly. I thought, well, so I don't shout. Well, I said, they can't hear. Now, she's not like that at all. She watches me, I've got to make a comment about something. Say, like, I mean, my programs, 2 programs I really like is Holby City and Casualty. Not because I worked in hospitals at one time, but I just like the stories because soap operas don't work. And we'll be watching the telly all the time in it. Where, and police ones to a certain extent, they will happen every day. New patients, new things. You know, and I'm there going, nothing to do with the fact that they, I don't say, oh, that doesn't go on, because it's 30 years since I left the health service. It's when one of them, like, injustice, like, you know, you get some authority, like a boss, say, a consultant, they seem to have the God-given right, and it's in real life as well, to order you about nothing to do with it, you know. You more or less got to ask permission to breathe, and oh boy, can I kick against that? I'm getting a bit, not worked up, but I can feel I'm getting annoyed now, and I'm trying to knock all that on the head. And I think the more you try, the worse it is, and I think it will come naturally. Like all these sort of things I'm talking about now, relaxing and that, I haven't worked on it, I haven't thought about it, it's just sort of happened out of the blue. It's like when you meet a girl the first time, you go, wow. You know, look at the bird, you didn't particularly go out to meet a girl, it just happened, that sort of thing. It happened quite a lot, I mean. Anyway, that's what I mean. So, what Bryce says, Lucky and Janet, you know, and Sue, it makes a lot of sense. You know, as I say, this has been coming on for a few years now. And it's finally, I've sort of settled down in my attitude. But of course, if somebody went to attack me, I'll do my best to knock them out, especially if they're physically attacking, I mean, my wife or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm too old for that now, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so, I don't know how long this has been, like old ramble, isn't it? Oh, you are kidding. 17 minutes? Good God, you must be bored to tears. Anyway, I basically started with Happy New Year. I think, as far as I remember. So that's it, really. You 4 have helped me more than you know. Just sort of focusing everything, you know. Just a quick ramble. There is one thing I'm going to do, not now, in another video. I'll write it down. It's called about, it's like justice, what justice? Because I can't, never have, completely different subject, never have believed in the jury system. You know, and I also think judges have too much power. Anyway, I'll go into that, but not now. So, Happy New Year to everybody, and I know Bri don't watch telly, but tonight on Jules Holland, it's the 23rd Hogmanay he's done. He's got Tom Jones, he's got Ruby Turner, Jeff Beck, and a load of people like that on. It's on for 2 hours, 10 minutes. Some news you put it on and it's absolute rubbish. As my wife turns out and puts a film on. But I shall watch that on here on the computer tonight. And it's BBC 1 or 2, one of them. No, adverts. And so I'll watch that. I don't know if Bri would make an exception. I presume, Sir Bri, that you know how to get telly on yours, and I don't bother, do you, on that? So, just thought I would throw it in the mix. So, I will see you all later on, and as I say, have a Happy New Year. And I probably missed out loads of stuff I was going to say, but you're saying, thank Christ for that. So, I'll see you all later. Happy New Year. Don't get too drunk, those who drink. I could, but I can't. Not get drunk, drink. Right. So, see you all later. Be well, and as Bible would say, be peaceful, be beautiful, and just basically love everyone. See you later. Oh, notice has come up. Bye bye.